Today we're at the familiar Gold Strike trailhead, and we're just off of Highway 11 at the Hoover Dam exit, at very close to the Nevada-Arizona border, within just a mile. And the goal today is what I call Gold Strike Mountain Loop. So the first stretch of this adventure is to head up Gold Strike Parallel Road until we reach Black Canyon Overlook Road. We're going to then look over the cliff edge of Black Canyon Overlook and actually take the edge of the cliff, just above the cliff, over just past Gold Strike Mountain, and then find a way to descend the cliff and then look for a route that's going to take us back to the Gold Strike Trail, ending up at the Gold Strike trailhead where we began. And here is a shot of the beast there, parked at the Gold Strike trailhead. And hopefully we're going to circle around and be back at the beast today. So 360-degree view. Beautiful volcanic area. We're going to get such a spectacular view of Black Canyon. We'll be looking into Arizona, over to Nevada. It's just going to be incredible. So let's go ahead and get started. Up Gold Strike Parallel Road. Quick note, if you are taking a vehicle up this road, just a look at one of the stretches on the road. Yeah, pretty steep ascent, plus a lot of places for your vehicle to get stuck. As you can see, the view is already opening up, looking down to Highway 11, then over to Lake Mead. First view of Lake Mead. Here's a familiar casino, hotel. Here's looking up the road, and just wanted to point out, yeah, there's kind of an interesting arch over here. And then looking ahead on Gold Strike Parallel Road, then over to the high points that we are ascending. Gold Strike Mountain, by the way, is going to be up in this direction. Now I believe that we're looking at Rough Peak. And by the way, it is the first week in February. Warm day, going to be 70 degrees or more today. 70 to 75 degrees. This summer is going to be really hot. Prepare for that. Looks like my recommendation bears out. This is looking back down Gold Strike Parallel Road. We're still on it. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of off-splitting roads. Here's one that splits off to the left. I believe that we continue more to the right, but we shall see soon. In the meantime, look at this volcanic landscape. It's like you took a thick cement, oozed it up to the surface from beneath, and then it all froze. You may have heard of the huge volcanic landscape around Yellowstone Park and the way that that whole area of the United States is like a ticking bomb. And it's all alive and steaming. Well, this is every bit as vast. Everywhere we look is a volcanic landscape. The main difference here is that this is all clearly dormant. But that dormancy may not last forever. Everything's temporary. Okay, let's continue up this direction. I believe this is Gold Strike Parallel Road. Ready for a brilliant deduction? Well, here it is. Gold Strike Parallel Road is the maintenance road for these power lines. And as I ascended this road, yes, every power line tower had a off-shooting approach road. The road up here is decent. And this is where the road loops around and then heads back down in this direction around this hill, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of our great landmarks once we get around the loop. We shall see. Anyway, yes, Gold Strike Parallel Road up at the loop. And I thought on the map it looked like, hey, you could just cross over. The terrain looked okay on the map, but no, don't try to shortcut the loop. You'll take more time just navigating the terrain in the gully below. A higher view of Lake Mead. Okay, let's go ahead and continue around this upper loop on Gold Strike Pass Parallel Road. Here's an important exchange you do not want to miss. At this point on Gold Strike Parallel Road, yeah, it continues off to the right, but what you want to do, and you can see where the roads branch off below to some very interesting locations, is this Gold Strike Mountain. It looks suspiciously like it could be, just based on the shape, but no promises. Anyway, yeah, you take a left here, and this is really uncommon to have road signs. Here's Black Canyon Overlook Road. So yes, you take a left onto Black Canyon Overlook Road, and then there's quite a bit of descent ahead. And there, following the power lines, is the Gold Strike parallel road we just ascended to get to this point. And again, here's where the left turn occurs, and where we head down Black Canyon Overlook Road. Looking forward to this. There must be just an incredible overlook. And a quick note with Black Canyon Overlook Road, we are once again in serious high clearance four-wheel drive territory. So just to let you know, if you're taking your smart car up this road, it's dead way before this point. But if it's not dead yet, yeah, it'll die here. As we continue up Black Canyon Overlook Road, the views get more and more spectacular. So far we've gone a little over 2.5 miles. Seems like a lot longer. Anyway, yeah, especially when you look at this area. Here's Highway 11. There's the circle at the exit we took, and here is the parking area where the beast is parked, where we began. So yeah, you might be able to take a more direct route. Could we have come straight to this point? Well, maybe, but that would be the end of the day by the time we got there. Okay, and then looking out over Lake Mead. Pretty spectacular views here. Great overlook of Lake Mead. When we get around the next corner, we'll be looking more at Black Canyon. And what else do we see here? Not sure, but I believe that this is Frenchman Mountain. Yeah, it's looking more like it the more I look at it. Which would make, yeah, that would make this Gas Peak. So, and then to the right of Gas Peak, the Sheep Range. So there you have more perspective on where are we. So yeah, and here's the bend in Black Canyon Overlook Road. I came up from this direction, and then heading around the corner, we're going to see more views of Black Canyon as we turn this next corner. Here's the direction we've been coming on Black Canyon Overlook Road, and you can see off toward the Lake Mead area. So much volcanic wilderness all around the whole terrain. Boy, this must have been amazing when it was all active. Anyway, Black Canyon Overlook Road is continuing in this direction toward the sun. Not the best view. However, what we're looking at now is our first view of Hoover Dam. There's the Highway 11 bridge, and in the background you can see Hoover Dam. Much better views in this direction as the sun's behind us here. Well, we're continuing to travel into the sun, and we're getting close to the end of Black Canyon Overlook Road. Continuing along Black Canyon Overlook Road, and I believe this here would be peak 2420. I might have called it by another name, but 2420 is our first peak of the day. And then we ascend this peak at the end of Black Canyon Overlook Road, which you can see stretching out ahead over to the left side of the peak. We're going to ascend the peak and then descend along the ridgeline, and we're looking for a way down to the Gold Strike Mountain area. This might be Gold Strike Mountain right here. Not entirely sure. I am sure that this is Mount Wilson in Arizona. So prepare for a spectacular overlook of Black Canyon as we continue on down in this direction. By the way, this is the direction we just came from. Remember that that bend, that first bend in the Gold Strike parallel road and the hills, these are the hills, and I guess at that bend you could actually ascend these hills and then get down to Black Canyon Overlook Road below here, and you can see it stretching out there. We went around the long way, but I have a feeling that if you did ascend these hills and over the edge back down to Black Canyon Overlook Road, your time would probably be very similar to just circling around on the road until you get to the end of the road, which is ahead at the base of 2420. By the way, the peaks that are numbered are the number is the elevation, so 2,420 feet. Okay, here we are. I think we're at the end of Black Canyon Overlook Road. Maybe we need to go down a little further. I want to check this out. You can see a line of power lines here. And I know these head down into Gold Strike Canyon. So I want to go down this road a ways. Now, up here in the sun is peak 2420, and we may take that in a bit. But let's continue around the corner here and just see where this leads. This may be a continuation of Black Canyon Road. We don't know. Let's find out. And here you can see where we came from. And you can trace the line of the road across the way here. About midway up that collection of hills that we're looking at on the horizon here. So, yeah, let's head down further here and just see how far this road's going to go. Yes, the road did end not much further than the last segment. And yeah, this is definitely Black Canyon Overlook. And now we can identify some high points. There is Gold Strike Mountain. And over in this direction would be Peak 2125, somewhere right in this area. And it may be hidden behind Gold Strike Mountain, actually. And then looking up for reference on the horizon is Mount Wilson in the center. And you see the Mount Wilson ridgeline. That's all in Arizona. Below us is Black Canyon. So there's the Mount Wilson ridgeline. Then over at the northern end of that ridgeline, this feature here is Fortress Hill. Or Fortification Hill, sorry. Fortification Hill right there. And then over in this direction, Lake Mead. Yeah, and besides Fortification Hill, see the tip of it there? Over down here is Sugarloaf Mountain. Then over in this direction is Hoover Peak. Then over here, Promontory Point. And you see adventures to a lot of these places on Las Vegas area trails, especially Fortification Hill, Sugarloaf Mountain, Promontory Point. Yes. So there you have it for now. I believe, no promises, but I believe that these are the Muddy Mountains. Yeah, more sure as I look at them. And then, yes, quite a plunge down this way. And you see a line of cliffs here. That are a barrier that prevents me from descending into Black Canyon at this point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send Peak 2420. We'll get a look around from that perspective, which is going to be even better 360-degree perspective than what you're seeing right now. And then there is a ridge line that's going to continue in this direction. It's hidden by the peak, but it continues beyond, and hopefully as we continue on the ridge line, we will eventually reach a point where we can descend into the canyon below and continue over to Gold Strike Mountain. I haven't been here before, so yeah, may hit a barrier. If that's the case, we'll just turn around and come back the way we came here. Another point of reference. You see, I mentioned the power lines. And you see the power lines below? And those power lines lead directly over to Gold Strike Canyon. And I think they reach Gold Strike Canyon somewhere around in this area. at the base of the first rope climb on Gold Strike Canyon. And then we can trace, yeah, you're looking across at Sugarloaf Mountain on the other side of the Colorado River, but Gold Strike Canyon below us here. And here you can see we'll trace the canyon. If you were in the canyon on that trail, you'd basically be traveling around this line. If you look down, and you can see the presence of a pretty distinct canyon down there. I know there are a lot of canyons, probably a little bit confusing from this perspective, but yeah, it's down there. So anyway, this is where we are at the very end of Black Canyon Overlook Road. And this is the Black Canyon Overlook. Very, very beautiful area. And by the way, this is a pretty awesome hike in itself on these roads we've taken up to this point. And you can see the amazing view. It's only 3.6 miles from the point where we began. So yeah, if you've got a couple cars, a couple four-wheel drive vehicles, you can leave one up here and actually begin at peak 2420 and heading along that ridgeline from this point, or you can take it on foot the way I've taken these roads. Only 3.6 miles so far. Okay, retraced my way back up Black Canyon Overlook Road to where we have the shortest distance to peak 2420, which begins right here, right at these power poles. So here we go, leaving the road and heading into the wilderness. Okay, quick 360-degree view from peak 2420's not too generous summit. Kind of a small area, but looking east toward Mount Wilson in Arizona. You see the ridge line there. And along the base of this ridge line is Highway 11. It's 93 in Arizona. There's Fortification Hill. Sugarloaf Mountain. Hoover Peak. Gold Strike Canyon below. Over to the Hoover Dam area. You can see part of the bridge, the Highway 11 bridge crossing the Colorado. Promontory Point. Over to Lake Mead. And there below us you can see the Black Canyon Overlook Road. And actually, if you're heading straight for a descent point down into the base of Gold Strike Mountain, that curve right down there in the road, Black Canyon Overlook Road, would have been a great place to descend, but I'm already up here, so I'm gonna head straight across and be looking for a descent point to the canyon below. If we can find one, then we've got a chance of summiting Gold Strike Mountain, which is there. If we cannot, then we're going to turn around and head back. So, yeah, let's take a look. Let's cross the summit here. Get a better look at Black Canyon below. Yeah, there it is. Gold Strike Mountain. Black Canyon below. And then over to Gold Strike Trail, Gold Strike Canyon Trail. Okay, let's begin traversing this wilderness. See if we can find a descent point into the canyon. Very slow, loose rock descent from peak 2420. And yeah, if you don't want to go to Black Canyon Overlook, you do much better. There's Black Canyon Overlook Road. You do much better to leave the road at the base of peak 2420, and then you want to head across this terrain, and the next goal is just to circle around the right side of this tall peak, and then we'll be looking for a descent point down into the canyon below. So yeah, let's see how that works. The great thing about this route is that you can always head back to Black Canyon Overlook Road and head back the way you came. But I want to explore the upper end of this cliff area just to see the terrain and scope out a potential descent point. Peak 2420 on the right, and you can see the road leading up the left side of the peak with the power poles. That's Black Canyon Overlook Road. And yeah, I could have headed straight across to this area from the base of the peak. But at any rate, yeah, the next goal is to reach this saddle at the base of this next high point. So here we go. Along the way to that saddle ahead, we were looking at a little earlier, I'm always watching for potential descent points into the canyon below. And yeah, there are a number of these narrow canyons, but I just don't trust them. I'm thinking that you You could get down sooner, but you could also reach a dry fall, vertical dry fall, and end up having to retrace your way. So yeah, I'm going to continue along in this direction. Okay, there's peak 2420. We stood on that not long ago. We've navigated around to this point. This is the saddle we were looking at a moment ago. And our direction now is along the base, the lower right side of these high points. And when we get a little further, we should be able to see a potential descent point into the canyon below. We're skirting the upper side of the cliffs and taking the most direct, easiest route without continually rising to the high points and then descending. So continuing along, and by the way, let's look around this direction. And guess what? There is Black Canyon Overlook Road. We were on that not long ago. And you can see where, had we left that road at that curve and just headed down the gully and then up to this point, that would have been a much more direct route. We did not need to go all the way over to the end of the road and peak 2420. Although I did want to look at the end of Black Canyon Road, Black Canyon Overlook Road, just to see that overlook point. It's very beautiful, worth it. Okay, continuing along. Next time I can cut off probably at least an hour or more by just coming straight to this point from Black Canyon Overlook Road. Another thing that could speed up this traverse that I'm taking right now is if you look very, very carefully, you might notice what I refer to as the Bighorn Express Trail, Bighorn Sheep Trail. And I could have taken that over this saddle and then here continuing along. And you can see it ascends this next high point a little bit. It ascends the side of the high point and then continues on, missing those gullies below. So yeah, trust in the Bighorn Express. They know how to navigate this area much better than we do. So let's continue along and see how far we can get along here. Okay, we've come from this direction. We're navigating along the wilderness, and it looks like the next stretch is going to be just along this gully and then circling around the lower right side of this high point, this peak ahead. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we should be able to see a potential descent point into the canyon below. Okay, I've been navigating along the edge, the left edge of these high points. And looking around, it appears that if there is a descent point, it's going to be beyond this first or second high point ahead and circling around those high points, one or both of them, and then taking a left downward into the canyon below. You still see Mount Wilson there, pointing to the east. Good reference point. Okay, let's see if we can find that descent point from the Black Canyon Overlook area. Okay, continuing along, we skirted the left side of this high point. And yeah, there are gullies that lead downward on either side of these high points. There's one. We want to be down there, but wow, I don't trust these gullies. Here's another one over here. Yeah, quite a dramatic dive. We'll take a closer look at it in a minute. But what I wanted to look at while here, another shot of Hoover Dam. And the Highway 11 bridge. And then above is Lake Mead. Is the Promontory Point right in the center. Then more of Lake Mead to the left of Promontory Point. And yeah, this is a good view of Hoover Dam, and you can see Hoover Peak right here. And on the Arizona side, Sugarloaf Mountain right there. And then in the background, Fortification Hill. Yeah, you're looking down on Black Canyon. There's Gold Strike Mountain. We need to circle around downward and then back up. Up the canyon in that direction. And potentially an ascent point right here. But wow, I don't see any ascent point that looks anything less than very loose and challenging. It's like walking on marbles in this terrain. So good views of Black Canyon below us. How spectacular. And then Mount Wilson and its ridgeline. So give some perspective. Now we need to continue along around this high point, maybe the next high point. We're going around the right base and then looking for a descent point into the canyon below that looks less vertical than what we're looking at here. And then let's take a look northwest. And what we're looking at here, I believe this might be Windbreak Peak. I'll clarify that. Well, according to all my calculations, this little ridge I'm on should be a descent point, but it's sure not looking like it as I look down. But let's go ahead and go over to the edge and see. There's Gold Strike Mountain. A lot of wind up here. Hoover Dam. And let's just explore a little further to see if this could indeed be a descent point or if it's a dead end. If it's a dead end, we'll turn around. Well, it does look like this is a potential descent point. Not feeling totally good about this, but it looks like one could just descend along this pathway and downward. One could also get to a point where you reach a barrier and have to back climb up to where we are now. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. There's Gold Strike Mountain. Fortification Hill in the background. Very windy right now. I can't believe I'm doing this, but yes, I'm weaving my way down through those rocks above. Up here is where I thought it was a dead end, but actually I was able to weave my way around in this area. And looking around, yeah, we're not going down here, but what I want to do is get over. I want to get over here and look down and see if there is a gradual descent from this next high point here. We'll see. Gold Strike Mountain, beyond. So let's just see what things look like. I can always retrace my way still. So have taken no stretch of rock that I can't reverse. Okay, against all odds, I've been weaving my way down from the summit of the Black Canyon Overlook cliffs. And you can see where I traversed the cliffs. And there is peak 2420 with the Black Canyon Overlook in that area. I think it's right over here. Not certain. Anyway, looking ahead actually is looking less vertical than what I just came down, which is good. So I'm going to continue down this ridge, angle to the left, and see if I can get down to the base of Gold Strike Mountain. And if I need to, yes, I could reascend the Black Canyon cliffs above. There was nothing technical. So I think the thing is to get to this next saddle and then take a left and continue to angle downward. We'll see. Okay, it looks like I am a good ways down from the cliffs above. Those are the cliffs I traversed, and you can see how much vertical terrain there is there. So I think it was good to traverse to this point. And now at the saddle over here, having come down this ridge, taking a left and heading over in this direction and we'll see where this leads. Of course, the goal is to get to the base of Gold Strike Mountain, which is right here. We'll get to the left base of the mountain. And I don't think I'm going to climb Gold Strike Mountain today. I just want to get this loop down. So if we can get to the base of Gold Strike Mountain, then navigate back to Gold Strike Canyon, that will be a real win. So here we go. Okay, here's retracing my way back up. I'm not going back up there, but I'm just retracing the route up to this point where I began to descend. Here's the ridge line that I descended. And here's the saddle where I turned and headed in this direction. And to give you an idea of the cliffs I traversed earlier. There they are. A lot of vertical waterfalls, dry falls in those canyons above. Okay, our next goal is this saddle up ahead. Let's head for it. Okay, above are the Black Canyon Overlook cliffs. And then here's the ridge I descended. And so now what I'm going to do is see if I can land myself back on Gold Strike Road or Gold Strike Parallel Road. So my next destination is this saddle. Then from there we'll see what the world looks like. If that doesn't work, I can always descend this gully to the base of Gold Strike Mountain. But for now, let's go up to the saddle and check that out. And then you'll notice that above that saddle is peak 2420, where the Black Canyon Overlook trail ended above these cliffs. So yeah, let's just go up to this saddle over here and see where we are. Too much time spent figuring out this course to do Gold Strike Mountain today, but now that I've got it figured out, maybe next time we'll hit Gold Strike Mountain from here. Okay, here's where we have come from. And tracing the way up the Black Canyon cliffs. Pretty imposing. Here's peak 2420, where we were at the Black Canyon Overlook. And here is where we're heading down this way, up, and hopefully over the ridge ahead. And then back to the trailhead. So here we go. And by the way, here's a cairn, which indicates we may be approaching civilization again. We'll see. I just came through this opening. Yeah, I'm going to call this video, instead of Gold Strike Loop, Gold Strike Mountain Loop, I'm going to call it Black Canyon Overlook Loop. And there you see the power poles. Remember those wooden power poles leading right up to the Black Canyon Overlook and the road above. We're not going to take that, but it looks almost possible, were we to decide to go that route. Now I know that the power poles also lead down and over a ridge to Gold Strike Canyon Trail. We're not going to take that either. I'm going to see what things look like over this next ridge and see if we can connect with the Gold Strike parallel road. And just to complete the 360 view so you can see where we are, that's looking down the power line, poles, downhill. This is quite a feature, ridge, peak, low peak. And here's where we came from. Black Canyon Overlook cliffs. And I want to go up to this hill up here and just see what we can see from that point. Here we go. Multiple options for the return trip from where we are. And you can see the Black Canyon Overlook, the end of the road right up there. And like I said, we're not going up there. But that would be one option, though we're not going to take it. Another option is follow these power lines, and they should take us right over to a wide spot on the Gold Strike Trail just below the first rope lift. But we're going to head up in this direction and see what we can see over this ridge here. Looks like my next stretch is going to be right up this gully and then angling around to the towers above and then back down to the trailhead. We'll see how that works. Yeah, this gully right here. And there's what I think is an opening. We'll find out. As long as we're looking around. Peak 2420 and the Black Canyon Overlook. Mount Wilson in Arizona. Then a site even more familiar, Fortification Hill, again in Arizona. Hoover Peak. Promontory Point. And then the highway 11 straight through this area. And again, our route is up in this direction. So let's take it and see what happens. Okay, navigating from below, I came up this canyon, ascending this gully, and I can either go up here. I think I'm going to see what this looks like, or I can go up this way, and maybe this will lead to this once I get on top. We'll see. Onward. Not bad, the terrain is looking decent, heading up in this direction, so I'm going to continue around and upward. See what things look like up on top. Just get a view. This is the gully I've been ascending. And now I find myself on a Bighorn Express trail up to this next ridge line above. And then the ridge goes along, so there should be some possibilities up there. And then looking back down this way, here is Sugarloaf Mountain. Tip of Fortification Hill. And of course, Mount Wilson on the horizon. Just came down from above, winding around the canyons and the ridges. This continues downward. I don't trust that it's going to not have a vertical fall. However, it looks like this continues upward to the saddle above. So let's get up to that saddle and just see what the world looks like up there. Just ascended this gully. You see Mount Wilson on the horizon. Highway 11 below. And what we need to do now is find our way down this gully and then up the opposite gully. And you can see some towers on the horizon, a little to the right. Yeah, there they are. Once we hit those, we're on the road. So the big thing is getting down, and it looks very doable. So let's go ahead and descend. Every day needs to have a most difficult stretch, and here it is, this loose rock gully. Trying to avoid any dry falls. Now we're at the bottom. We head up in this direction. Once we hit the top of this, we should be able to see a road, and there is a power line tower, and we know that those towers each have a road leading to them. So yeah, we're closing in on roads. It's just a matter of ascending this gully now. Onward. Okay, I've just come up this wash, which incidentally appears to be getting longer every time I come around a corner. But it looks like this area here is the top where we're going to find a road. We'll find out. Signs of life. We can't be too far from civilization, so continuing on upward, looking to connect with the road soon. And yeah, there are towers up here, power line towers, and those towers have roads leading to them. So we have a number of ways to get up to a road. And then you can see the gully I've been ascending. And it's nice and gradual now. The one I came from. That saddle up there is the saddle I passed through. Descended that really loose rock slope down to the bottom and then up this gully. So continuing on upward. Good news, there's the road just up ahead. You can see the embankment right at the base of those towers. Yeah, I'm not going to keep winding around this gully. Here's the gully I've been ascending. Been very nice and gradual. Good way to end the day. So heading up to the road now, and then it's down to the trailhead parking. And looking down this gully, there is one of my favorite reference points, Mount Wilson in Arizona. Woo! We are on a road, part of the road system. We don't know what part. We'll find out. But there's the gully we just came up. There's the cliffs of Black Canyon Overlook on the other side of those cliffs. And I'm thinking just head downhill and we'll make it back to the parking area. Hopefully this is not a spin-off that goes down in this direction. And we'll find out very soon, because I could go up here, but I'm just thinking that the downhill is going to be better. So I'm doing the downhill. Okay, I turned onto Gold Strike Road and it winds around a bit more. Gold Strike Parallel Road is back this way below. I think what I'm going to do is backtrack, get onto the parallel road. I think it'll be faster. No, I'll stay on Gold Strike Road. Why not? They both go to the same place. Here we go. By the way, there is the traffic circle and the freeway exit. Looks like I've got some video stabilization issues here. Have to look into that. There's the Hoover Dam Casino. and the railroad trail is behind. So yeah, let's go ahead and take this road and we'll just take it all the way down. So yeah, Gold Strike Parallel Road is much shorter than Gold Strike Road. This is a roundabout road. There's the parallel road down in that area. There's the parking area. But it's good to test it out. Just test out different routes. So yeah, winding around and downward to the parking area on Gold Strike Road. Okay, after winding around and descending, Gold Strike Road circles around and meets up with Gold Strike Parallel Road. So yeah, take Gold Strike Parallel Road, much shorter. But it was an interesting detour. Yeah, went up the hills there and then along the base of the mountains above. And you see the Gold Strike trailhead immediately below us. And so today's adventure has been up to Black Canyon Overlook, across the upper cliffs, circling down and along the base of the cliffs, and then finally through canyons to make it back here. And yeah, we're gonna call this Black Canyon Overlook Loop. Awesome adventure.